Hey weirdos, welcome back to my channel. My name is EmmaAbe and talk about books. I'm joined again by the baby. She's being super squirmy. She's so cute. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in December of 2020. So this is my last reading wrap up thing, and let's get started. So the first book I read was The Tyrant's Tomb by Rick Riordan, and this one the Goodreads Choice Award for middle grade. This whole Trials of Apollo series I've really been loving. I wasn't expecting to be introduced to more of ancient Roman people. I thought in terms of emperors, I thought we had our three established in the triumvirate, and then that's all we were going to talk about, and it was nice to meet some more. I don't really want to talk too much more about this book without spoilers. There's this cool thing about finding your fate or breaking your fate and breaking curses that I really enjoyed that does involve Apollo, and I thought that was really great. Yeah, and I cannot wait for the ending to the series, which I will be reading as soon as I can get my hands on it and have time. I'm just very excited to see how this ends, and I'm excited to read some of the other books like the Kane Chronicles and the Magnus Chase books that were also written by Rick Riordan that I just never actually got around to reading. The next book I read in December of 2020 is Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Forget exactly who it's by, but it's based off of Mr. Rogers' poems. If you didn't see my video last week, that wound up on my worst books of 2020. And I don't want to belabor the point, but I essentially wasn't the correct audience for it, and I felt like I was pulling teeth every time I was reading a poem. And that's not because the poems are bad, they're just very simplistic and they're meant for children and they're written for children. They're written the way they should be. I just didn't enjoy at all my reading experience. And I read that one because it won the children's book for the Goodreads Choice Awards. And that reason I just didn't enjoy it as much. I mean, it's fine for what it is. I just really shouldn't be reading children's books other than for nostalgic value, and I learned that. So let's just move on. I didn't read a whole ton of books this month. I read a total of 6. I've been really distracted by fan fiction and the holidays and finishing school and just vegging out and cuddling this baby. So the next book I read was actually a book I was supposed to read in November, but I didn't get a chance to finish it. It's a history of the original peoples of northern Canada. This is by Keith J. Crow. I read this with my eyeballs, and put very simply, it really just talks about Native people in Canada and the history, and there's a beginning section where it goes through a bunch of the different tribes, and there's all these maps. This book is really old. I don't want to open it for you because it will literally fall apart, but I really enjoyed this for what it was. I want to say I'd give it about a 4, because if you're really interested in Inuit peoples or people in Canada, oh, she's being so cute, this would be a really good book to read. And then it goes into post-contact and the history of how all of that has changed. And yeah, I just found it to be a really solid book. I meant to read it for the Indigathon, and this is the one book I didn't make it to. There you go. I enjoyed it. Very pleasant. The next book I read was The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. I read this because I heard a lot of similarity, there's a lot of similarities between this and Crazy Rich Asians. There really isn't, other than the fact that it's dealing with immigrants to America from China. That's really the only similarities. This does dive into Chinese culture in kind of similar ways that Crazy Rich Asians does, but the stories are very different. This deals a lot with motherhood and finding your identity as an immigrant and trying to do the best for your children, but also goes into a lot of what ABCs or American born Chinese, especially women, go through. And Crazy Rich Asians does touch on that, but not to the extent that this does. That that is talked about in Crazy Rich Asians, but that is the focus of this. That being said, we follow 4 different women and their mothers, the pair, so I guess a total of 8 women. Some of their stories are truly like just heartbreaking. I really enjoyed it. This was written in the 80s. It was just a nice, like, not a nice fiction book, because some of the parts were really like difficult to read because it's just packs a punch, but it was really like it was a nice book to read kind of like around the holidays, being surrounded by my parents. I liked this one a lot. I think that I would also give this one a 4-star. None of the books that I read this month really like shattered anything for me personally in terms of like my reading or my end goals or anything like that. Oh my god, I have books everywhere. I'm almost through my books. That feels weird. I don't feel like I have much to say this month because every book I read this month, it just felt like I was getting closer and closer to the end of the year, and I wanted to like prep things. I just kind of want a nice clean delineation between 2020 and 2021, which I didn't successfully make because there's this one book that I'm actively reading called The Grand Master of Demonic Cultivation, but that's okay. Because I do not want a clean break from that story because I fucking love that story. It's inspired The Untamed, and I never want to be over The Untamed. Okay, so the next book I read is Notorious RBG, The Life and Times of Ruth Bader Ginsburg by Erin Cameron and Shauna Kuznick. This was really weird to read in the wake of her passing. I still haven't like digested it fully. I bought this like right when it came out, and I read a little bit of it like right when it came out about like 3 years ago, which is weird to think about. The thing with like books about RBG is that they all hail RBG as this awesome woman, and it's like, yes, but I don't feel like this like brought anything new to the table other than making more pop culture like references and jokes. That's not saying this is bad. I still loved it because I was with it for like all of the parts because I love RBG. And I do think this would be like a really good book for like someone like just getting to know about RBG. And it's like something that all RBG lovers should like have on their shelves. Yeah, and there's lots of art through like out the entire thing, and it's really cool to see. And there's pictures. It's just a great little book to read through if you like RBG. If you don't like RBG or you don't really know who like Ruth Bader Ginsburg is, I don't know if you like it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it for like what it was. Wow, last book. We're already there. I read Weapons of Math Destruction: How Big Data Increases Inequality and Threatens Democracy by Kathy O'Neill. This is a quick one. I think the audiobook's only like 5 to 6 hours. So if you could knock it out in a single afternoon, I think I've read it in a couple of days. This was, I think, like not the happiest book to go out of 2020 with, but it also seemed like fitting because just kind of how 2020 as a year has been in general. This book basically talks about the systems that she calls WMDs, which are weapons of math destruction. It was really interesting for me as someone who studies computer science and works with a lot of things that like she talks about in like machine learning and algorithms. It's just so interesting to read because I do work with that stuff. Conversations like these don't happen that much in computer science spheres, which I think should happen more often. And as someone who's also an anthropologist, I feel like these conversations seriously need to start happening because there are ways to do weapons of math destruction and these big algorithms that determine a lot of things ethically, and there are ways to do them unethically. They're used a lot of times, especially for like job hiring, credit scores, loans, all of these different things that she goes into the book, they're unethically done. She does this really great example of an ethically done WMD, which would be like baseball stats, because the thing that makes it ethical for her is that it's all like white box. What a white box means is that you can see exactly how things are being calculated. You can see the data that is being put into these algorithms, and what is being outputted makes sense. Whereas with unethically ones, they're all kind of black box, which means you cannot see the algorithms. So for instance, you might be taking a survey for work. You don't know how your survey is going to be fed into this algorithm and how it's going to spit out a result for you. And it could result in you either not getting hired or getting fired. It was just very interesting, and I hope more people like read this, because these problems brought up in this book are only going to get worse as time goes on. They're not going to become better, and it's going to take a collective effort for people making the technology and making the algorithms and the people who are asking for it to step up and make a change in order for stuff to change. So there you go. That was my reading month. Very short video, but I'm also tired. The baby is tired. Are you all swaddled? Are you all comfy and cozy? Oh, look at you. Are you going to sit through another video with me? Huh? All right. Well, that's it for this week. The baby's going to say bye. Bye-bye. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll see you guys later. Bye.